Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Acceptable Losses podcast, where Kirioth is undoubtedly going to try and probably succeed at ruining my day. Kirioth, how are you, and what are we doing?
It's warm, I'm moist, and ready to dive into some Cyberpunk.
Oh, no. All right.
Better or worse than the start of the last episode. Like, if
I mean, saying you are hot and moist and ready to go that's an all-timer for sure.
It's accurate. I don't know what the problem is. It's fine.
Yeah. Let's just start the episode, huh? How about you just go right into the topic for today? I think that's appropriate. Yeah.
Quick, move on.
Quick, start the episode. I don't want to talk about how hot and moist you are.
Well, when you put it like that, fair. So today,
I was gonna say, between this and Gnome Cocks, you're on a roll, dude.
It's been a weird 2 weeks. What can I say? So today we are going to go over the early history of Cyberpunk and the founding of Night City. And having, of course, gone through everything, strap in. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Oh, yeah. Cyberpunk. We love that. Cyberpunk's great. Now, and I only know the video game. The video game and the anime. So I'm kind of jazzed for this. Let's go.
Yes, yeah. As Shai points out, we're talking the game, not the entire genre. That would take longer than what I think this is going to take.
That's a multi-episode affair for sure. Yeah,
yeah. There's a little bit of stuff in there, but yeah, we're talking like Cyberpunk 2020. There is a little bit of mention, of course, of the game on console, PC, and all modern gaming devices. Which, when it was pointed out when that was released, I nearly died. Nearly just crumbled to dust. Hadn't realised how long ago it was. But before all of that, Cyberpunk had, for quite some time, existed as a style and aesthetic before actually earning its own name. Things like Judge Dredd and the manga series Akira emphasise the low-life, high-tech style, while stories from Philip K. Dick, like We Can Remember It For You Wholesale, which would be later adapted into Total Recall, and Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which would then be adapted into Blade Runner, those set the foundation in a literary sense in the 60s. The cornerstone that truly set it as a punk-based subculture was, of course, William Gibson's Neuromancer, which was released in 1984. And from there's been a ton of films, books, and anime series that were able to put an identity to the style and kind of ran with it. Now, game designer and writer Mike Pondsmith found specific inspiration in the films Blade Runner and Streets of Fire, the novel Hardwired by Walter John Williams, and the anime series Bubblegum Crisis when it came to a project that he was working on. So in 1988, he would publish Cyberpunk 2013 through his company, R. Talsorian Games, and that would set the stage for a tabletop series that would continue to exist to this day. However, at the time of its release, Cyberpunk was actually not super well received. Some would say that it was only for diehards of the genre, while others would point out the bleak nature as being a bit egregious. I love this. In a fairly positive review by Rick Swan, he would say that the game was a terrific game for pessimists.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
That is, you're right. That is a glowing review. Are you a pessimistic son of a bitch who finds no joy in anything at all ever? Well, have I got the game for you? That's
properly like damning with faint praise, that, isn't it? It's just...
I feel like it's just damning. I don't know that that's necessarily. I guess there's a sprinkle of potentially positive, but yeah, woof.
So the game would struggle in the 2000s, but the very passionate fan base would keep it afloat through grit and dedication, and by really dunking on the third edition of the game, which really sucks. It would consistently rank high on lists regarding popular tabletop games, even if no new edition had been published, and the cult following would result in fan-made expansions and other books that have not only been well received by the community, but also by Pondsmith himself. The game, of course, would find an exceptionally strong second wind in 2020 thanks to the CD Projekt Red game Cyberpunk 2077, and that combined with a new edition of the tabletop game Cyberpunk Red has resulted in the game being synonymous with the genre as a whole in the modern era. Plus, it's just straight up called Cyberpunk, which helps a lot.
Oh, that helps a lot. The genre has become named after the damn game, so yeah, that helps.
Excellent for marketing, that.
Oh, yeah.
When the genre and the game are the same thing, you've nailed it.
What's the best? Google, what's the best Cyberpunk game? I've got news for you.
Yeah. Also, the reminder that Cyberpunk 2077 came out in 2020 is genuinely alarming. It doesn't feel like it was that long ago, and yet...
It really doesn't. I think it also doesn't feel like that because, like, when it first came out, it was kind of terrible. And then I always think of, like, it's like, oh, it released back when, like, Phantom of Liberty came out. And it's like, nope, that's when it got actually good. So, yeah, I always have a skewed view of when Cyberpunk actually came out.
It also kind of feels like it had a two-pronged release in that it came out and everyone went, wow, this is dog shit. And then it got constantly worked on non-stop for months and months and months. And then maybe a year to 2 years later, everyone went, it's actually really good now. You should give it a go. It's like there's been two.
Yeah.
Same with No Man's Sky. Like that game, when it launched, it was just, I mean, it wasn't treated favorably. But now, years later, it's like, oh yeah, this is one of the best supported and most turned around games of all time. It's like that two-pronged release thing.
Not to get too off topic, but brother, I got burned so hard on the No Man's Sky vanilla release. I believed everything they said in their marketing. Oh, that vanilla, oh boy. I could never properly go back to No Man's Sky because it always just felt a little too dirty. But I do hear it's amazing. It's just that initial burn.
I legit refunded it.
There were not enough skin grafts to heal the burns, and I was like, no, never again. Anyway, Cyberpunk.
When it comes to the setting of Cyberpunk and all its editions, it's not like most others in the genre. Many of them, like Shadowrun, try to showcase. That wasn't Possum. That was all me. That mess up.
Shadowrun has ruined you.
It just went straight. Begins with SH, Shadowrun. Many of them, like Shadowrun, try to showcase the entirety of the world as best as possible. In Cyberpunk, the world was designed around one place and one place alone, Night City. Located on the real-world Morro Bay in Northern California, Night City is a megacity that was designed to be self-sustaining and fully autonomous in a world that had completely gone to hell, in a part of the state that had fully seceded from the former United States. We do know about many things that have occurred in the rest of the world and the country, but there's an asterisk to most of it. Due to the isolated nature of Night City and its fierce independence from literally everything else, many of the stories about what's gone on or what is going on in the world at large, it's questionable at times. In a meta sense, the game's editions have been retconned multiple times, but that just feeds into the structure of Night City itself.
Yeah. So I'm assuming much like the game, it's like its own little country, and it's kind of outside the purview of world law until things get really bad.
Oh, it gets bad. It gets really bad.
Yeah. It's Night City. There are no happy endings.
Unfortunately, the lead up to Night City being a thing, also bad. So just bad all round. Hence with the strap-in warning at the start. Oh, it gets dark. Instead of dealing with true governments and having genuine concern for domestic and foreign issues, Night City is run by very powerful corporations, namely Militech, Nightcorp, and Arasaka. Their actions within the borders of Night City are truly the only things that matter to those who live there, and they have reached such a monumentally strong point of stability that in many respects they are stronger than entire world governments. The Night City Council is the only thing many people know, and their rule of the city determines the trajectory of their unfortunate lives.
Oh.
What could possibly go wrong? Where have we heard this sort of thing before?
Oh yeah, this all feels a wee bit too familiar. Did they by any chance build a gigantic techno pyramid for the people to live in?
Funnily enough, the word arcology does show up in this script. So,
Ah, lovely. Just lovely.
and from what I remember, it wasn't quite as horrific, but it was also not great either. So we'll get to that. We'll get to that like later on. But
Okay.
yeah, just there's definitely some cross contamination. Is that the best way to phrase it?
Yay, parallels that aren't real world things, I hope.
Nothing to worry about. We're all good. As a concept initially, Night City was meant to be a beacon of hope in a dark time, where people could be safe and protected by an autonomous corporate government that was mutually beneficial. Nowadays, it is safe, but only to those at the top of the ladder. Night City to many is less of a city and more of a cage that they're trapped in. For decades, people have been forced into wage slavery to support their corporate overlords, and thanks to financial instability, they are trapped within its borders. Even though many people inside Night City know little of what it's like outside of the place, they know that it's likely fundamentally worse, and their existence being based around how surviving each day is a miracle seems pretty good by comparison. There may be some truth to that as well, by the way, as those who are old enough can remember the horrors of the collapse of the United States, where millions were gunned down in the street simply for not getting home in time before curfew.
Oh boy, that's not good. That's millions died from, damn, why are you out this late? And they're just gunned down in the millions?
It's crazy, dude. Millions dead from not being in bed before 9 is insane.
That's crazy. Also, I mean, you know, million is a lot of people that are just like, nah, fuck this curfew. Millions?
Things weren't great. We'll get to it, but things weren't great. This is where the it's so much worse. This is where the true grim darkness of Cyberpunk sets in. It's not just a setting of low life and high tech, but it's wrapped in individual nihilism. You are so aggressively pinned under the boot of a corporate overlord that it circles back round, and you are somehow okay with it, to the point where your fight to survive every single day is as natural as breathing. Of course, the more cybernetic parts of this come into play later on in the timeline as a cathartic escapism, but it's very important to learn about what some folks are trying so desperately hard to escape from. So today, on Acceptable Losses, we're going to do a two-pronged overview, with the emphasis on overview, into the very early history of the world of Cyberpunk. First, we're going to go over a timeline showcasing the point of divergence between our real world and the nightmarish world of the setting, and cover that till about roughly 2013 or so. Then we're going to circle back and go over the creation of Night City and an overview of its story until the events of 2020. Ultimately, the history of the world doesn't matter to those that walk the streets of Night City, but context is key, and history fully explains not only why it exists in the first place, but also why it's as isolationist as it is. And Possum has said, "Don't worry, DK, this 100% won't feel too real. Totally promises. Would never lie. Would never lie to us, Possum." So
yeah, well, I mean, when you're like, oh yeah, we're gonna talk about the parallels of the the game's real world versus corporate overlord hell. I somehow think the real world is 100% gonna bleed into this a lot.
I don't know why you'd assume such a thing.
Because the real world knows nothing about corporate overlords that overwork their people and essentially do have them in wage slavery. Gosh, that's never happened in the real world, right, Kirioth? This is a totally new concept that this game completely made up.
Yeah, luckily we don't have any of that in real life.
He said with no sarcasm seeping from his voice. None at all.
Not even a little bit. It was all
Not even a
sincere.
Yeah, not even the smidgest bit of venom in those words.
For context for this, the majority of the lore covered here is from Cyberpunk 2020's core book, a few supplements, and some details from Cyberpunk 2013, since Possum hasn't had or opened the copy of that in a decade, and they really wanted to read it again. So, an excuse to go into that Cyberpunk 2013 book, and Possum was all over it.
I mean, I guess Possum does probably have like a library of these things, so it probably shouldn't be too surprising that he hasn't seen or read this thing in a decade. But god damn,
I imagine a good chunk of Possum's house is just bookcases with specifically like RPG source books on every single shelf, and that you'd be able to track like the newest editions. As someone who knows nothing about any of them, you could probably walk in and know which one is the most recent one, because that will be the one that is like more recently moved, and you could probably chart entire RPG histories purely from that cover's got slightly more dust on it. So I reckon that must have been the first. And then the second one will have been this one. That one on the end is clearly the newest, but I think there's some cross-compatibility here, because 1-2 back, that's been touched recently as well. I think you could manage that, and that is how I imagine Possum's house to be.
There's also a part of my brain that imagines Possum as have you seen Constantine with Keanu Reeves?
Yeah, yes.
I sometimes imagine Possum as the alcoholic priest in there that just he touches things and immediately he reads them. And I'm like, that's gotta be Possum, the way he like goes through the text. So there's a part of my brain that's just like Possum's there, like eyes rolled back, touching all the newspapers, and then he's suddenly like slaughter, you know?
You know what? I'm also choosing to believe that. Got all of the books, but simply has to touch the spine and knows the entirety of the contents.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
Do not confirm or deny. We wish to live in the fantasy. Thank you, Possum. But any contradictions between like the 2020 and 2013 versions and stuff, it could be fully intentional, as your life is nothing more than supporting a company that doesn't even know you exist. Also, no magic or dragons in this setting, just unrelenting realism. But there's a fun little fact that Rebecca from Edge Runners has a very visible goat skull tattoo that is apparently a cheeky little homage to the logo for Shadowrun. So that's kind of nice. That's a fun thing. Just a little connection.
Guess that's a reference that probably fell flat with a lot of people, huh?
Wait, have I missed the pun?
Yeah, it's because it's Rebecca and...
I'm now stun-locked by the next sentence, what Shai said, and missing the pun. Wait, this is what I hated about... So Shai says, this is what I hate about Cyberpunk 2077. The tarot shit was too magical for this setting for my taste.
I mean, I can see that. Like,
Tarot's weird.
I get it.
It's interesting, but weird.
Brain
glitches.
Yeah. As always, one thing that always like freaked me out about all of the tech in Cyberpunk was like, the fact that hackers could literally just like hack your brain, and they have access to literally everything that makes you function. It always gave me the heebie-jeebies, where it's like, oh yeah, it sure would be cool to do like brain dances and have a computer in my head, and then it's like, oh, maybe it wouldn't.
Yeah, no, I'm not down for that. I don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah.
That's
what do you mean
terrifying.
The hacker wants $1 million from me, and if I don't give it to them, they will shut down literally everything that makes my body work? Oh,
exactly. If you do a specific DLC quest, you get the power to force any character to enact Scenario 5. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sorry again to go back to the game, but there's literally one of the little chip power things where you use it on someone and, it does indeed just make them put a gun to their head and,
It's
the
so
RAM disc or
horribly-
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that gives me that freaks me out. I don't
Yeah.
like that at all. God.
I didn't realize that was a DLC question. I thought that was just like the main line, honestly.
I'm gonna have to. I've got to say this bit and apologize in advance because, yeah. So the next section is titled "The Cold War," and right before it, Possum simply says, "Anyway, time to get sad."
Oh boy. All right. Well,
Look, you know why you're here. You've all experienced this before, and I've got a quote for you here as well. Just a nice, normal, fun quote.
all right. If you listen to the Euro trash, the United States is a seething hellhole of drug addicts, psychopathic killers, and wandering homeless packs armed to the teeth. If you listen to the corporate-controlled media, it's a place of new challenges and exciting beginnings. If you listen to the punk on the street, it's neither one, but a mix of both. Let's take a little look at what things are really like, eh? Great. Yep, that's a great quote to start this off with, since we're in the Cold War.
Optimistic, right? Optimistic. There's always a middle ground.
I don't know if optimistic is the right word for this.
No, it's not the right word at all.
Ominous, more like
Ominous, yeah.
Wrong O word.
Close, but not quite there.
Yeah.
The primary schism between the world as we know it and the world of cyberpunk begins aptly with a collapse. The Berlin Wall fell in November of 1989, which marked the conclusion of the Cold War in a broad sense, but internally, the United States was struggling. During the Cold War, advertising companies and popular media had begun to erode public understanding of global policies, ushering in an era of exceptionalism and a worldview that was directly centralized around the goings-on within the United States alone. The ending of the Cold War marked the end of arguably the biggest media fixation the nation had seen since World War II, and many people had known nothing but the tense nature of this war since birth. Speaking of birth, by the way, 1988 is when Johnny Silverhand was born. This is ultimately super important to some major world events, but we're not going to go into that right now.
I mean, he's become the face of Cyberpunk, so that's a cool little detail.
Yeah. Inevitably, with the conclusion of the Cold War, conflict was going to arise again, but this conflict would be a bit different than what we know. Prior to the fall of the Berlin Wall, George H.W. Bush would become the 41st President of the United States of America, and there were internal concerns about his and future presidents' ability to rule the nation. Members of the CIA, NSA, FBI, and DEA would band together and form the very early groundwork of what became known as the Gang of Four, a secret cabal that was focused on running the government from the shadows so as to prevent any form of collapse or external manipulation of the government as a whole.
I was going to say, once you're like, oh yeah, there were concerns about how George H.W. Bush would run the country. I was like, oh yeah, that's that, that happened with every Bush president. There's people like, oh, can they run the country? Now, I don't know that other part. I don't know, but all right.
I'm getting strong. Just a full boss baby. Although the timeline for this stuff is probably a bit weird in like which was made first terms. I'm getting strong like Fallout vibes from that.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely a Fallout vibe to. Oh yeah, we made a secret 4-person organization to make sure that collapse of the government doesn't happen.
Yep.
Yeah. There? There's so many different points of failure. I'm sure we'll be fine.
We've got great ideas. Don't worry about it. It'll all work out.
Yeah. Oh boy.
We will talk more about them in a bit, but in our real-world history, the United States would invade Panama at the very end of 1989 in a conflict that would last 1 month. Operation Just Cause was meant to dispose of the ruler of Panama, who is Manuel Noriega, due to his ties to drug trafficking. The conflict was swift and resulted in a considerable amount of deaths, including somewhere around 200 Panamanian citizens. The UN General Assembly, as well as European Parliament and the Organization of American States, would condemn this military operation as a dramatic overstep by the US, but the government would say that they had a responsibility to protect the Americans in Panama and along the borders, and the best way to ensure this was to remove the risk of drug trafficking and enforce democracy. In Cyberpunk, however, this conflict was only the start in what would be known as the First Central American War.
Yeah, that sounds about
quite
right.
The shift, isn't it?
Yeah. What do you mean this started a war when we just, needlessly went in and killed 200 people in the name of America must be free?
Oh, no. Yeah, right. I mean, the fact is, it's something that did already happen, but the U.S. invasion into foreign country to oust president for drug crimes, it feels a little more current than I'd like it to.
Yeah.
That'd be nice if that wasn't. Oh boy.
Like Shai said, that would never happen. Where's this? Where are these parallels that Pasta was talking about? I don't see them. It's so fictional.
It's all in the past. You don't need to worry about it.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I've got another quote for you here. Sorry.
Oh, great. Imagine a world where Central America didn't become a battleground, where the U.S. solved its problems of crime, inflation, and drugs, where the Cold War ended in democracy, not a succession of squabbling dictatorships. Dr. Albert Harper, 2015.
He's got a dream. Unfortunately, it did not come to pass in this world.
No, it certainly didn't. Yikes.
Also, yes, the Wikipedia page for United States involvement in regime change in Latin America is somewhat of a rough read. But let's go back to fictional awful.
Dad, why is the map all green? Well, I don't have a great answer for you, honey.
Here, go back to TikTok and keep swiping. Don't think about it.
Just, honey, turn on the iPad and just stop asking questions.
The first thing you see is, did you know the Tau found a dreadnought that was older than their entire... Anyway, so...
Turn off the iPad. Throw it against the wall. Kill it.
The Panama Canal Treaty would expire during this time in 1990, resulting in control of the canal being reverted back to the government of Panama. Citing defense concerns, the United States would deploy troops deeper into Panama in an attempt to retake the canal. Panama's military forces, the Guardia Nacional de Panama, would not only fight against the American forces near the canal, but also along the borders of Nicaragua and Honduras. Their intimate knowledge of the geography of Central America was vital to their guerrilla tactics, and the United States has a very bad track record when it comes to fighting against forces in this manner in territory that is unfamiliar. Vietnam.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, yeah. No, Shy. No, you gotta stop. You have to stop, Shy.
This is going to be a two-parter, even though the script is only the length of one episode, because we're going to have to stop for existential dread breaks every 2 minutes. It's going to get so bad.
Yep. I kind of forgot about the whole trying to retake the Panama Canal thing, and thanks for letting that one bubble back to the surface, Shy. I appreciate you.
I'll be honest. I've got the fatigue at this point. I don't know. I don't know what he's saying at any given time, because there's so much. So much, and a lot of it. Look, I'll be honest. A lot of it, I read it and go, I mean, that's clearly never going to happen. Or at least if it does, I don't understand how it's going to work. And then you start looking more into it, and the well of despair and lunacy just gets deeper, and it's like, oh god, all right, let's do something else.
Let's go to the fictional dystopian world now, huh?
Yeah. So, due to the attack seemingly coming in at all angles, the United States would send forces into the other nations as well, escalating this into a full-fledged war. Though the United States was able to deploy new battalions with early cybernetics, they began to spiral and essentially re-experience the quagmire that was the Vietnam War, resulting in major losses. Now, cybernetics at this point are very much prototypes, but the intensity of the conflict resulted in the early funding and focus on this new level of enhancement to recreate muscle fibers for those who suffered a catastrophic injury or just enhance those who didn't. This would eventually result in the earliest forms of cyberware that we would begin to see, strictly as a medical aid and nothing more. Objectively more crude than some of the more chrome-based sleek augments you're probably imagining, and of course extremely expensive. Veterans would come home with these augments, while others would seek out treatment on their own to perhaps fix some long-term injuries that can now finally be mended. Of course, as time went on, newer innovations would come and go, resulting in the obsolete ones becoming less expensive. In the next 20 years or so, augments such as these would begin to shift into various forms, becoming more utility-based in some respects and completely cosmetic in others, which we will touch on more in a bit. It's now time for things to get worse again. Conflict is not unique at this stage. You'll be shocked to learn.
What do you mean? After going from Cold War to Vietnam War, what do you mean? There's no conflict.
Well, there are a few other things that occurred in 1990 that are of note. The Warsaw Pact would dissolve a bit earlier than in our timeline, and more importantly, no coup would form against Mikhail Gorbachev in the Soviet Union. He would be successful in preserving the Union as he wished, and was able to appoint a successor in the form of Andrei Gorbachev. Sorry, I nearly just said Gorbachev again, but it's not. Gorbachev. Yeah. He would begin to implement Gorbachev's initial plan of restructuring the Soviet Union into something more modern. Things were going relatively okay over on the other side of the world, while the US was embroiled in another conflict. In fact, Europe was doing great. Too great, actually, as it seemed that some form of unification was on the horizon. The Gang of Four would view this prospect as a potential wrench in their plans for the future of the US, because the more unified other global powers were, the United States would suffer consequences for that. More oversight, less power, all that jazz. They would watch this intently, but they needed to ensure that the conflict in Central America could conclude. Now, obviously, long drawn-out wars tend to have quite a large impact on the average Joe in the US, especially when it comes to goods and services.
Suddenly, why are they taking all the sugar? Where's all the salt going? What happened? I don't, man. No.
Do you remember those days where we used to have them around?
Why do the kids have to work at the metal factory now? Well, yeah.
God, it'd be nice to have news about something other than this seemingly endless conflict that we were supposed to win 4 years ago. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah. What do you mean we have to ration the food and the energy? What?
So the dual conflict in Iraq and Central America caused some issues immediately when it came to fuel prices. It would be around this time that a relatively unknown company known as Biotechnica would begin experimenting with fuel alternatives in the hope of solving the problem, while also potentially helping them skyrocket in the corporate game. But they wouldn't be the only ones crafting something up at this time. In the very early months of 1991, a very strange thing would occur. The yield of coca plantations across huge portions of South America and Central America would become corrupted by a blight. The sheer volume of product destruction in an unsalvageable manner would cause not only various cartels to collapse seemingly overnight, but the governments of both Chile and Ecuador would fully collapse inward due to the increased instability.
Ooh.
Now, this blight, it turns out, was the product of the Gang of Four, and suspicions would arise when poppy crops against Central Asia would suffer a very similar blight.
Oh, great.
It started. It's already started.
Yeah, that's not good. Don't like that. Okay, lovely.
I do love that it starts out with, we need to make sure that the country is being run in a proper manner, and then we're like 5 paragraphs later, we're going to destroy other people's crops.
Yeah. The only way for the United States to survive is to, destroy the agricultural world of every other country. Great.
It's almost like they're not actually doing what they said they would, and instead of being a bit like maniacal about the whole thing.
Yeah, it's almost like that, which would again never happen in the real world. This is fiction, pure fiction.
Though this instability is too much to resist, we're going to briefly talk about some unity. So the Gang of Four would be correct in their fears about Europe's unification, as the European Economic Community would be established in 1992. Their presence was strong, and their initial founding would consist of Germany, France, Denmark, Austria, and Benelux, which is Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. Their unification caused severe fluctuations in the global economy, especially with the creation of the euro-dollar, and the implementation of protective tariffs would ensure that joining the EEC would result in strength and not division. And, best of all, being a European nation didn't matter. Entry into the EEC was based on global influence, not geography. So Japan was invited to join right from the drop, and they would have a strong relationship with the more recently reformed Soviet Union, now known as the Union of Sovereign Soviet Republics. The US would also be offered entry as well, but they would decline. Because of course they would.
Shocking development, right? Like, oh, wow, all of Europe is unifying? Not us, man. We're not Europe. Fuck them. We're free. All right, that's cool.
Okay. There are good reasons as to why they would decline.
Are there actually, Kirioth? Are they actually good reasons?
Good might be doing a bit of heavy lifting, but there were reasons. Due to several governments being destabilized in Central and South America, the United States would begin funding militia groups to ensure that the leaders they wanted would be put into power. These leaders assured the United States that they would be given free access to lithium deposits and other natural resources without much hassle. Meanwhile, the conflict in Iraq would end fairly pyrrhically. A whole lot of money and troops were spent without achieving the goal of removing Saddam Hussein from power, and the forces of the US were recalled to deal with the issues in Central and South America. That whole blight, that bioagent, was, as mentioned, successful, but it also had a degree of impact that was global. The drug wars here would hit the corporations of the EEC pretty hard, and the actions of the US in this part of the world would result in some aggressive sanctions being placed on them. The EEC would also do something the US found to be unthinkable. They would provide aid to various Soviet nations and really work on strength and unity. This, of course, very much against the US.
Yeah, the US is like, you're providing aid? Please, you have to subjugate them and destroy their crops and make them kneel under the boot of your... come on, what are you doing? Also, when you're like, oh yeah, they had, they installed regime leaders so that they could have free access to all of their crops. I was like, oh, again, never happened in real life. We've given you freedom.
I love it when my fictional worlds are based on just the real world, but with more information on the shady stuff that's happening.
Yeah, I love it when my dystopian fantasy doesn't sound like a fantasy and it just sounds historical. I love that.
I see you've taken inspiration from yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Great.
So yeah, the whole providing aid to Soviet nations very much went against the United States National Security Council's whole "the Soviets are evil" thing. That let's be honest, quite a strong stand that has been taken for quite a while at this point.
Yeah,
both fictional and real.
Yeah, I was gonna say, which one are we talking about? Real, fictional? Like, take your pick.
the direct equivalence there, it's just a 1-for-1. The Soviets would accept the Eurodollar over the US dollar, forcing the collapse of NATO. Please stop. For the first time in 40 years, the Soviet Union would make peace with Western Europe. I just read the NATO thing, and then I remembered all the stuff about how NATO shouldn't be a thing anymore, and I don't like it. You know what? I'm learning something about myself when we do these. Shy, for God's sake.
You can't keep bringing up these links, Shy. That's crazy. Also, I love that the Eurodollar currency that Shy posted, literally on it, instead of it just says "get rich or die trying" on the fucking money. Like, instead of like, oh yeah, in God we trust, or something, is it "get rich or die trying"? And it's like, brother, if that's what it says on your currency, you are well and truly fucked.
Oh my God, that is really good.
Yeah,
that's really good. I genuinely love that. At least I'm being honest about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm learning increasingly as we do more of these, especially when we're doing stuff like this or Shadowrun, and like World of Darkness specifically, those sort of based kind of in reality, but sort of sheared off into their own universe where there's more fantastical elements. I'm learning that the first time I read through the script in preparation for the episode, I think I am partially dissociating as I go. Because it's like, I read through and I'm like, okay, all good. This looks great. This is fantastic. All sorted. I can hopefully, anticipate questions early on if they're answered later on. And, it is just good for the general structure of everything, right? So, It helps to know what you're reading.
Yeah.
But then we read it through and I'm reading it again and there's bits that I've already read before and I know that what they say, but it's like part of my brain turns itself off on the first read through. And on the second one, that part isn't off. And that part goes, I hate that. I hate it. I actually hate reading this. And the thing is, I didn't hate it before, but I think it's because I'm allowing myself to feel it in the moment when we do the recording. But it just means
your brain puts up a spoiler filter that you don't even know is there.
Yeah, it's like we're not gonna go into it now. We're gonna read through, make sure everything's good, and then when we sit down to record, I'm like, this is all too real and I don't like it. But I don't have that reaction the first time through. And it feels like it should be the other way around and I should be, immune to it when we're actually talking about the thing. But it doesn't happen that way. And instead I just get sad and alarmed as we go along. Because I'm like, it's worse. It's actually worse the second time. It's genuinely worse the second time.
Here on Acceptable Losses, we feel sad and alarmed all the time. That's the new shirt. It's just Kirioth's face, and I'm sad and alarmed. Perfect.
Oh my God.
Print it and ship it. You like reality, right? That's the new shirt, and it's just Kirioth.
We should round out those shirts with a "you like fantasy, right?" and a "you like reality, right?" And I don't know the reality one. I'm not sure what we could put on it, but we could find something that would make it work. And
just our two characters looking depressed.
just tears.
No, Shy. No, we cannot. I don't think that should be our I don't. Anywho, so Cyberpunk, completely dystopian and not at all paralleling our world.
I have read out many things that TK refused to read out from you, Shy. For that one, I think you're just gonna have to put it up as a picture in the episode. I'm not getting the heat for that one.
Nope.
No way.
Nope. No, sir. Not me. No, yeah, you're on your own, Shy.
Oh, now the Western Europe and the Soviet Union being at peace, that's all very kumbaya and all that jazz, but the Gang of Four would not view it this way at all. They would become increasingly paranoid. Initially, the refusal to join the EEC was due to just being spread too thin, but it became increasingly clear to the rest of the world that the United States was actively becoming more isolationist. But they didn't know the half of it. The rise of the EEC was now a specific target the Gang of Four could actively act out against, and they would begin to focus efforts towards destabilising it. But this, unfortunately, would have to wait, as the other places they destabilised over the past few years were beginning to strike back, and these strikes would not be abroad. Various nations in South America would agree that action needed to be taken while the US was quite literally still stuck in the mud with various guerrilla forces in their neck of the woods. Through secret channels and various other means, extremist organisations from South America would begin to wreak havoc across the US with various pinpointed terrorist attacks on domestic soil. The most aggressive one took place in the financial district of New York, where an improvised dirty bomb suitcase would be detonated and would result in the death of 15,000 people.
Oh, boy, that's a lot.
Yep. That sucks.
Wow, that is no good. That 15,000 people. God.
How big was that suitcase? Must have been absolutely massive.
Well, you said this was a dirty bomb, right? It could have been anything.
Yeah, that's fair. That's probably the bigger detail, isn't it?
Yeah. And this is dystopian cyberpunk, so who knows? I mean, it might have been as small as a little microchip.
Just packed full of anthrax.
Or some
small nuclear bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Paranoia at this point in America was at a peak, and the Gang of Four would work overtime when it came to supporting black market weapons sales in the US and beyond.
Because that's what you should do. Damn. They really do have their priorities set straight. Incredible.
I'm starting to think this Gang of Four aren't very nice people.
What gave you that indication?
Just little things here and there, you know.
Just a gut feeling. I don't have any proof, but Mm-hmm.
The wars in Central and South America would start to shift in their favour due to the implementation of air mobile units that gave them quite literally the upper hand, and the Gang of Four would begin in earnest their efforts against the EEC. By now the EEC would have accomplished great things, including the expansion of their space program and the reinforcement of their unified military made it seem like the United States was nothing more than second fiddle. Genuinely, at this point, the Gang of Four was afraid. The Quiet War was the name of the Gang of Four's direct action to undermine the efforts of the EEC, and though it had technically begun when entry into the EEC was declined by the US, the end of 1993 into 1994 was when it really took shape. Through the NSA, the Gang of Four would begin to commit great acts of financial fraud in order to give off the impression of financial stability in the country, in spite of not being a member of the EEC. The newly inaugurated president, James Richard Allen, was not much help here either, as his vice presidential pick was awfully manipulative over what he did or didn't act on, and that is because his VP was a man named Harold Harrison Hunt. Triple H to you and me.
It's time to play the game. Let's go.
It's time to play the game. And he was on the payroll of the Gang of Four directly. Of course.
Yep. All right, cool.
There would be attempts to manipulate treaty talks between the EEC and Soviet militaries to stall further combination efforts too, but these would seem to be for naught. The US would then attempt to hack directly into the stock market systems of the EEC as well as Asia to put their money where their mouth is. The direct manipulation of the stock exchange numbers as well as a catastrophic amount of insider trading resulted in the EEC becoming deeply suspicious of the actions of the US, and they would launch an investigation.
Bum.
You can probably guess how that goes, given that the title for this section is The Crash and the Collapse.
I'm sure it goes swimmingly. Surely the investigation turns up nothing.
Wouldn't that be nice for those four guys specifically?
That'd be so funny if that's actually what happened in the collapse and everything was just a completely unrelated event. It was just like a sinkhole somewhere else. And Possum was like, "Gotcha, idiot!"
Yeah, you thought you knew what was happening.
Yeah.
You did not.
You had no clue, dumbass.
Well, the investigation would be relatively quick and would determine the fault of the US and their desperate actions to influence the global market as a whole. So,
Well, damn, it was us.
instead of doing anything directly actionable, the EEC would just publish their findings. The news of the extreme nature of the fraud the US attempted would result in the crash of '94, where virtually every developed nation would place dramatic and vicious embargoes onto the US trade-wise. The extreme nature of these embargoes would be catastrophic. So I've got another quote for you, and I'll be honest, this is a rough one. Sorry.
Great. We were hiring like mad, getting ready for the rally. Then, at about 3 o'clock one day, I was eating something and came on the feed. Embargo. Everyone was in on it. The whole EEC. Switzerland even froze all American assets. Something about currency manipulations by hackers. I walked out on the sales floor and there was no sound. People were just staring. Japan had abandoned us. Then Mexico, even Australia. I threw up in a trash can just as the first guy jumped. Joe Siegel. Oof.
Yeah. It was not great. In
No.
only a few short months, those who relied on things like investment portfolios or pensions would lose any and all financial stability, and the amount of jobs that would pull out of the US would be too numerous to count. Unemployment percentages would reach the high double digits, and the number of those forced into homelessness would number in the millions. Because of the removal of any meaningful connection to global markets, the dollar would plummet to almost complete worthlessness, and the rapid cashing of bonds was so extreme that the Federal Reserve couldn't print money fast enough. The violence in the streets in virtually every state would force the US to recall virtually all military forces in order to deal with a domestic unrest, resulting in the loss of the First Central American War and ultimately a gigantic financial and personal investment loss on the end of the United States.
Yeah, Lee. Oh, man. I hate it when the consequences of my actions show up. This is awful. But what really sucks is the fact that, everyday Joe Blow is the one that has to suffer for, political corruption that had literally nothing to do with them. Oof, that always feels real. But it's like, oh yeah, millions are homeless, millions are dying. Oh, what did they do? Nothing.
Yeah. Funnily enough, a lot of the time when it comes to, especially the more wealthy in society, they get to do the fuck around. They don't often actually have to experience the find out part. That is left to everybody else.
Yeah, it's always again
not just.
It only happens in fantasy. This is just Cyberpunk. This would never happen in real life. Again, we love our fantasy podcast about grimdark universes.
Well, the increase
put that on your
the
bingo card, Jesus.
Yeah. The increase of the homeless population as well as the unemployed population would result in the earliest nomads being present along the west coast. Driven out by the companies that had once supported them, these roving bands of early nomads were very much an indicator of things to come when it came to the landscape of the country. Alongside them would be the earliest versions of booster gangs as well, as around this time the very early cybernetics were in swing, and now that they were disconnected from their homes or places of employment, cyberpsychosis would start to take hold. The extreme increase in instability would result in an even more extreme increase in mindless violence.
Yeah, I suppose it would.
Yep. And the government was spread too thin to really do anything meaningful about it. Of course, a lack of action would be viewed as something intentional by those who are in harm's way, and the active hunting and executions of defense attorneys and other officials that seemingly allowed for crime to continue would skyrocket. Even the deployment of soldiers on the streets of the United States could not stop the violence. Somehow, things were even worse in Pittsburgh around this time, as a full nuclear meltdown would occur in an arcology, rendering the city uninhabitable. There we go.
There's the arcology, and it
There we go.
sucks almost as bad as the other one.
Oh, hundreds would die immediately, and cancer rates to anyone from Pittsburgh would skyrocket. The former city would become known as the Pit from then on.
Oh, man, that sucks. The Pit. Oh, man.
The Pit.
Yeah. The Pittsburgh. Great. Love that.
Meanwhile, to be fair, things were still going pretty okay overall elsewhere, at least for a bit. The European Space Agency and the Pan-African Alliance would begin furthering the colonization of space by beginning construction of the Kilimanjaro mass driver, which is one of the coolest things I've ever heard, to allow for goods to be shot into space, and a unification of ministries would be carried out in Japan. Sure, there was a civil war breaking out in China, courtesy of Maoist loyalists, and Poland was I meant to change this earlier and I forgot. Now, Possum didn't mean to write a marital law. It's martial law, but it does say marital.
Careful, Kirioth. Does the missus listen to the podcast? You gotta be careful, dude. Don't start a fight you don't want to finish. Careful, buddy.
Poland was under martial law, but things otherwise great. Also, I got a personal warning for this bit. Kirioth, you're going to hate this one. At the tail end of 1995, the EEC would implement a system referred to as Fortress Europe, which resulted in the monitoring of citizens through the mandatory carrying of scannable and traceable ID cards.
Which would, you know what? I'm not even going to say it. You know what I'm going to say. I've said it already.
Our government has been trying to do literally in like the last few months. In this country, definitely all in the realms of fiction.
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't even have to say it anymore, do I? Like, yeah, listen, just chime in the comments when you see something that actually happened.
I would love to see a comment that is literally just timestamps to everything that is just real. Just all the things that are like, actually, well, I would. Because that would be interesting. I also wouldn't, because I wouldn't want to actually go through and look at all of that.
Yeah,
that seems like a great way to ruin your evening.
Actually, don't comment. Just comment with "Yep, fiction." Yep.
By the start of 1996, the downward spiral that the United States was on had a name: the collapse. The violence in the country had escalated to the point where it was virtually unavoidable. By this stage, 1 in every 4 Americans was homeless, and riots would become the norm. Hundreds of thousands of people would cause these conflicts, and even though they had the name the Nomad Riots, seldom were nomads actually involved. The execution of officials would continue, earning the name the Lawyer Purge, and in August of 1996, President James Richard Allen would be assassinated in California while on the campaign trail.
Oh, man. 1 in 4 is wild, by the way. That's crazy. That's some sick art, though, Shy. Home of the Brave with the I'm assuming that's Johnny Silverhand. Early art of him on the Harley. Gosh, that's a hell yeah, brother.
It looks great. The backdrop is horrific, but it's very cool.
Very, very dystopian cyberpunk background, yeah.
Yeah. Now, the death of the president would result in Harold Harrison Hunt becoming the acting president and allowing for the Gang of Four's plans to be fully realized. But, it's not necessarily going to be easy for anyone involved. And on that note, I have a quote for you here.
It's part of me that hopes the quote is just like, talk about student of the game. I am the fucking game, JR. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen of the Congress, now is the time for action. This body has chosen not to act on the crisis we face. If someone does not take action now, America is doomed. I will not allow this to happen. As the ranking member of the executive branch of the government, I have signed an executive order suspending the Constitution of the United States. As of this moment, 3 p.m., martial law has been established and will remain in effect until this crisis is passed. At this time, cerebral units of the Central Command are positioning themselves around the capital. Each of you has been assigned a squad of U.S. Army Rangers at your homes for protection. This session is suspended until further notice. Thank you. Secretary of Defense Jonathan Seward on August 17th. That's crazy, by the way. The fact that it's like,
well, when the Constitution has been suspended.
I was gonna say, I didn't even know you could do. Surely you can. You shouldn't. Boy, that's crazy business.
I don't know much about the U.S. Constitution. I'll be honest. It doesn't really have a huge amount of sway over here. In England. But from what
the United States Constitution doesn't have much weight in Europe? No, Kirioth, no.
From what I gather, really, really quite, important and foundational to the entirety of your society, from what I understand.
Yeah.
So someone going, we're just going to turn this off for now. Alarming, to say the least.
To say the least, a little alarming. Just a smidge. Yeah.
Unprecedented, even, perhaps.
That definitely has not happened in real life. Maybe there's some presidents that wish they could, but I don't believe that's ever happened.
Yeah, it hasn't happened yet. So the implementation of martial law at this stage in the game would be the final closing of an iron curtain around the United States. Oh, for fuck's sake! If that, I'm not even reading it.
Nope.
I'm not even reading it. Shut
I didn't see that headline at all, Shy. I don't even know what Kirioth's reacting to.
I'm not looking at it.
Yeah.
I'm just not looking at it. So, for God's sake, the implementation of martial law at this stage in the game would be the final closing of an iron curtain around the United States, as they would be left to their own devices, except those stationed overseas in the remaining footholds the US had. The forced imprisonment and or killing of those who were homeless and potentially hostile would begin. This being said, America was not the only place having a very rough time at that moment, as Japan was dealing with a lot of issues, courtesy of the now ominously powerful Arasaka. But the story of Arasaka is so in-depth that it kind of requires its own separate conversation. So next time we delve into this universe, we'll go over everything regarding them, including the Fortnite character Adam Smasher, which was new. That was news to me that there was a Cyberpunk-related Fortnite crossover.
Oh yeah, okay. That was a while ago. I think Lucy's in it. I don't remember if Adam's in it, but Adam Smasher is in it, but I don't.
Possum. So I said to Possum, having read that bit, I said, "Wait, there's a Fortnite crossover," and then Possum replied, "Inexplicably, they added Adam Smasher to Fortnite, which is like adding Jeffrey Dahmer to The Sims."
I mean, he's not wrong.
So I don't have the context for that, but it doesn't sound like a good choice on Fortnite's part.
Yeah, the guy who is introduced to you in the game is saying that, you look like a real fuckable cut of meat. Perfect for Fortnite!
Oh my god, wow, really?
Wow, that's canon? Adam Smash doing ads for the Hard Rock Cafe? That's canon? That's not just... I thought that was fan art, dude!
Oh god, wow.
All right, sick.
Anyway, after all of this, the EEC is doing great. Portugal and Italy decided to join, and hopefully nothing really bad happens that can impact the global economy any further.
Oh boy.
The Mideast meltdown was one of the more horrific side effects of the collapse.
I was about to say, foreshadowing is a literary tool, but you beat me to it. Jesus.
I'm not going to lie, when Possum does these little sections, regardless of whether we're doing acceptable losses or Adeptus Ridiculous, I'm slowly seeing how long I can get away with pushing the pause between the very obvious foreshadowing and then the horrific statement straight after.
It's good. It's good. You're learning. Possum's like, yes, I have you trained well. Dance, my puppet, dance.
So, the Mideast meltdown, one of the more horrific side effects of the collapse, as tensions between the countries of the Middle East and North Africa would come to a head. Nuclear exchanges would break out, resulting in nations essentially getting glassed. Libya, the UAE, most of Iran, and a good portion of Iraq would be virtually destroyed. Some, like Egypt, Israel, and Syria, would survive only because they were already in tatters prior to the bombs going off. The fallout of these exchanges would spread worldwide and have a devastating impact on the environments of countless nations. The surviving forces in Iraq and Iran would initiate a direct conflict and would have a devastating impact on the remaining military forces in the region. Due to a lack of finances and a lack of personnel, the NSA was not prepared with any form of early warning to provide intel to American soldiers who were caught in the crossfire and were all but wiped out.
Yay!
Nice. Speaking of being wiped out, remember that period in the 90s when a bunch of oil spills just kept happening over and over again? Well, the spills would get progressively worse during this time, and a toxic spill in the Pacific Northwest in 1997 would utterly wipe out the fishing industry there.
Oh, great.
It just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah. Oh, boy. That's all right. Cool. Sick.
State economies were still collapsing at this time, and it seemed like hope was lost. Curfews due to the martial law order were essentially shoot on sight, and the military would actively conduct artillery strikes on its own people, including an incident in Houston where over 2,000 citizens were killed.
Jesus. That sucks. That's oof. All right.
I've said it before. This whole Gang of Four situation, I just don't think it's worth it. You know?
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly with you, Kirioth. Yep. Nope, I don't think it's working. I hate it.
It's so gross. The sheer volume of DEA agents and members of the INS, the Immigration and Naturalization Services, acting almost as paramilitary resulted in them being mostly plainclothes officers, and secret funding from the still awfully powerful megacorporations resulted in basically any flavour of mercenary that you can think of. Now, this is another quote for you.
All right.
Sorry. I don't. I'm just going to apologize now.
Okay. When I was only 7, Mother told me to stay inside all the time. We lived in a part of LA called Newton. I hated staying inside a lot. Mom used to fight with everyone who came inside, even me. One day, a woman from the government came to see me and took me to another house. They said that Mom was dead in the bedroom. I knew it wasn't true because my mother had a head. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
Yeah, that also, by the by, for anyone listening, that quote is just by an unknown child. This happens so regularly and is so unsurprising. They were like, oh, we don't even need to denote who said this. This is just a child. Happens all the time. Not even going to mark down their name. Woof.
Yeah. It's not great. It's not great.
No.
As you can imagine, many states began to question whether or not the United States was a good idea. Understatement.
But why?
That felt like some proper British understatedness. I love that. New York and Texas would be some of the earliest ones to refuse to pay taxes to DC and would initiate blockades that resulted in economic strikes. San Francisco would attempt to forcibly close its borders only for the government to try to strong-arm itself in and claim the city as its own. This resulted in the state of California announcing that they were fully seceding from the Union. The Free States movement would begin, and multiple states would just straight up bail on the US. Initially, the government would try to force the forces of the US military to reclaim those states, but they would not budge. the forced deployment of US soldiers on US soil resulted in incredible attrition and active armed resistance. Many who had initially acted in the early stages of the collapse now regretted it, and the call to arms would be ignored, resulting in the remnants of the US government being forced to a standstill. The Gang of Four was on the ropes, and investigations into them would begin at the behest of Jonathan Seward. Now, this has been very understated, but now is a good time to really make one thing clear. Despite the terrors of the United States as a whole, corporations are doing fine, especially in the United States. See, after the collapse, the government straight up did not have the ability to stop the mega corporations from abroad setting up shop.
Yeah, sadly, I was like, yep, that definitely sounds like it tracks. Yeah.
I'd imagine US mega corporations are having a hell of a bad time, but if all their money is coming from more stable countries and economies, how are you going to stop them from just buying stuff up everywhere? And if people are homeless or, the dollar is worth absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And someone a representative rocks up and is like, we want to buy this entire street for enough that you might be able to eat for a week. Probably just going to be like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, especially since they're probably into global trade, so they're also getting a currency that is worth significantly more than the US dollar. Yep. I'm sure Militech is doing fine, just fine. Yeah. And Arasaka, and sadly, they're probably flourishing. Business is a booming. Stock prices have never been higher.
That's the important thing. As long as line goes up, everything's fine. We know this. There were
Militech is a U.S. corporation. Can you tell? Oh, wow. Thanks, Shy. I know I couldn't. There were no indicators at all.
Oh, God. There were obviously tons of vulnerable people after the collapse that were desperate for any form of work, even if it meant very little pay. The promises of security and safety were complemented with the rapid hiring of even more desperate people who would act as mercenaries to protect them. Plus, land was clearing up left and right for them, so they had more space to stretch out, allowing them to operate almost completely uncontested and giving them the ability to work on experimental new ways of life. From agriculture to cybernetics, America became a great experiment yet again. Elsewhere in the world, we begin to see a few more snags. China claims Hong Kong while Europe is ravaged by once-in-a-lifetime hurricanes. A massive earthquake off the coast of Spain causes tsunamis that kill thousands. And speaking of earthquakes, 1998 was a true nightmare for the United States, like most of the recent years.
As opposed to...
But it's in a different way. That's the key thing.
This time, it wasn't the government that caused mass casualties. This time, it's just a natural disaster. Yeah. Don't worry, guys. This mass casualty list, is just Mother Nature. So much better.
What's that rumbling? Is that artillery strikes again? Oh, no, wait, no, it's just an earthquake. Oh, this is lovely. What a refreshing change.
It's just a city-sized sinkhole. Oh, well, at least the stock prices are okay.
I know my house is gone, but it wasn't worth anything anyway, so,
So true.
A major drought spreads across the entirety of the Midwest, resulting in the destruction of hundreds of miles of land and the tanking of farms left and right. But perhaps the most devastating environmental event occurs in Los Angeles. An earthquake registering 10.5 on the Richter scale
Holy
hits
shit!
the heart of Los Angeles. That's
a 10.5 in the heart of
it. What's the strongest earthquake ever recorded?
I'm not sure. I mean,
10.5 is bloody up there, isn't it?
That was the most British I think you've ever sounded. That's bloody strong, ain't it? So true, brother. So true. I actually don't know what the strongest recorded was. Unfortunately, there was that huge 7.1 in Japan recently, which hopefully everybody in Japan is doing all right. But I don't know what the strongest recorded earthquake ever was. Oh, Shai has, I guess this is like the second strongest one. The Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami in December 26, 2004, Sumatra, Indonesia was a 9.2.
Jeez.
And this one
then
is significantly stronger.
Oh, apparently in 1960 in Chile, there was one that was 9.5.
I can't even imagine that kind of world shaking.
Yeah, so 10.5 in LA is absolutely atrocious. That's horrific. Wow.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Indian Ocean one obviously happened like in the ocean, and then the subsequent tsunami ruined everything. But the epicenter being the heart of LA is crazy business.
Well, over 30% of the city is immediately submerged underwater.
Oh, God.
And over 65,000 people are killed.
Holy shit. Oh, damn.
Yeah.
That sucks. But that
really sucks.
Yeah, 10.5 in the heart of LA, that being the epicenter. Oh boy, that is. Oh.
Not even The Rock would survive that one, and he survived some bullshit.
You making a reference to the hit movie San Andreas?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay, cool.
Which I think I've watched, but I genuinely can't remember really any of it outside of him going up a wall of water in a boat, and that's really all I can remember.
The Rock, starring as The Rock, indeed.
It's the only role he can play, to be fair.
So true. So true. Well, that and Maui, which is just The Rock, but anyway.
At this point, people in the US are starting to believe that there's a lot more going on that's causing these horrors to happen, and some turn to religious fanaticism. In Kentucky, a group of neo-Luddites called the Ludds form. They are fearful of the innovations in technology and how it's spurred by the advancement of megacorporations. I was about to say, they sound like my sort of people, but then I remembered this next bit, which is they would become a domestic terrorist organization that would begin a bombing spree that would continue for a decade. So, all right, maybe not too far off on the right basis, but the actions. No, I'm not as on board with those.
No, definitely for sure. Kirioth, before reading the script, these sound like my kind of people. Reads 2 lines down. Oh, fuck. I'm going to get cancelled for this.
I'm going to on a list. Remember how things were going okay in the rest of the world? Well, it's getting a bit rough out there now.
Right.
The UK is now also under martial law, and the monarchy is removed. Good. The flavor text in one of the books
I was going to let you handle that one.
The flavor text in one of the books states how the King of England in 1998 is King Charles III, and he, along with Prince Andrew, oh dear, the fact that he's the one who's referenced is that's rough. Why him? Why? And other members of the royal family are either detained or exiled. I mean, I support that for Prince Andrew now, so I don't.
Damn.
Hong Kong is also in a state of martial law, just throwing that out there. And the KGB attempted to overthrow the new USSR, but they failed. Do you know who is having a good time, though? The moon.
The moon. All right, sick. So
yeah,
I guess I didn't. I guess even in the game and the show, the moon is sort of like, oh yeah, we need to escape to the moon. That's where paradise is. God, I would love to really stay at your house on the moon.
Yeah. Tycho colony is fully established, and they're building another mass driver so that stuff can be fired from the moon to Earth. So it's the moon's looking pretty good right now. It's looking better than a lot of Earth, apparently. As we get to 1999, things start to slightly shift in the favor of the US. The federal weapons statute is implemented as an attempt to curb the influence of the Gang of Four on America's current state of chaos. The statute states that should a gun owner's gun be found, utilized, and identified to be theirs at the scene of a crime, they are liable for the crime.
Oh,
now, this can this can be prevented by reporting the gun as stolen or missing to authorities and filing a report. Okay, it's not just I left my Glock on the bus and now apparently I'm a mass murderer. It's not quite that.
What happens if your gun is stolen? You don't know it, and then the first to your knowledge, it shows up at a crime scene.
I mean, I'm assuming you get shot in the head.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it seems like that is what happens. No sympathy. You're like, oh, you should have reported it stolen, idiot.
The form is available publicly. Just go to the library. It's like, it's not that hard.
But I didn't know it was stolen. Too bad, idiot.
It's actually, I don't think quite that bad. But the statute also banned the open carrying of fully automatic weapons or get a prison sentence of up to 7 years. So it's, they're really trying to crack down. Some states threaten to secede because of this. I mean, you can insert your own joke about which state that.
I wasn't going to say it. I wasn't going to say shit. I wasn't going to say shit. So leave that. I'm not touching that one with a 10-foot pole, brother. Nope. No.
That's a rare insert your own punchline, that one.
Yeah. Yep. You do the heavy lifting, listeners.
Rioting in urban areas would drop by about 30%, giving the military enough wiggle room to focus more on the actions of the NSA as opposed to average citizens. The impact would result in martial law being lifted as the grip of the Gang of Four would fully slip. And now, it's the year 2000. Y2K, baby. Sure, a cult that was fearful of the millennium would cause a mass atrocity across various populated areas, including a chemical attack in Berlin that killed 19,000 plus people before taking their own lives, but that's just small potatoes. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, boy, we traveled a long way. It's like, hooray, it's Y2K. By the by, and it's like, oh boy, we are diving headfirst into the shallow end. God.
And continuing the theme of this podcast, Possum apologizes in advance for the following words: the wasting plague.
Oh, cool.
A horrible infection would begin to tear through the world close to the end of 1999. Those hit by the plague would face an infection of their organs that would make the victim starve to death no matter how much food they consume.
Oh boy, that's unfortunate.
That's rough. Again, you can insert your own pharmaceutical-based joke there if you'd like.
So there's a literal plague that no matter how much you eat, you still die of hunger?
Yep. You still starve to death.
That sucks, dude.
Which is way that. I mean, isn't that so like hyper tapeworms?
Yeah.
Like, you just eat and eat and eat, but you are always starving, and you actually physically starve to death. That's insane.
I don't know why my brain is so on Constantine today, but I was immediately reminded of the priest again when he goes on his drinking binge and all of the bottles don't seem to have anything in them. And he's like, what the hell kind of store? Yeah, it's the same guy. It's the same priest. It's the same character. And I'm like, I'm so Constantine pilled today. I don't know what's going on.
That's such a horrific scene as well.
Oh, it so is.
When he's he's just downing so much alcohol and
he doesn't even realize it because the fucking Balthazar is there tainting everything. That son of a bitch and his fucking coin.
Gonna go and watch it again later just to get some sense of catharsis.
Yeah. Fire, I was born of this. Anyway, that's a different episode.
Now, the wasting plague was spread extremely easily, especially to those who are in close quarters. Considering that a lot of people were, homeless and in close quarters, the plague would tear through the vulnerable masses at a horrifying rate. The impact of the Gang of Four made the severity of the wasting plague almost easy to ignore, which is horrifying by itself.
Oof.
And by the time an inoculation would be developed in Japan, over 14 million people would be killed by it.
Holy shit! 14 million people?
14 million.
God! Wow!
Wow.
I mean, I guess this is the worst possible time for a plague like this to break out, considering everything you just said. But fuck me, dude, that's a lot.
That is horrific. That is absolutely atrocious. God. The most significant thing that would occur at the start of the new millennium would be the creation of the net and WorldSat. The near instantaneous connection of people around the world would have a permanent impact on the landscape of the planet. The United States would also become directly connected with Mr. Saburo Arasaka of the Arasaka Corporation as he began to buy up a loss of the failed factories and folded corporations in order to reinvigorate the population. Saburo would become a man the American people would look up to as an inspiration. He came to help them when their own government had failed them, and America would start to sort of spring back. Sorry, the pacing on this is so good. America would start to sort of spring back. A food crash in 2002 would cause the crops in Canada and the USSR to fail.
Well... Things were good for a little bit, you know.
But here's the thing. The newly invigorated US agricultural companies would survive due to biological counteragents. So the US is still on the up and up, still going strong.
Okay. New theme for this episode. US on the up and up.
It's about bloody time, frankly.
Yeah, it's a long series of downward spirals for the U.S., but glad to see we're on the rise again.
At this rate, they may yet reach ground floor.
I was going to say, there are survivors in the U.S. There's people alive here after the wasting plague, after the countless dead from just civil war, martial law. There are people in the U.S. still. It's not a barren graveyard.
I feel like if we're going by sort of film reference terms, since Constantine's come up a few times, if we're talking the platform, I think they've left the high 200s and they're now in like the low 30s platform wise. You know, that it's not great, but it's nowhere near as bad as it could be.
Yeah.
Or indeed has been for years. Speaking of which, 2003 would effectively spell the full beginning of the end for the Gang of Four. It also saw the formation of Johnny Silverhand's band Samurai, but again, that's not super important at this very moment.
What? Yes, it is! Fucking Samurai! How dare you, Possum? It's always important.
Always, every time. The Second Central American War would begin, and it would earn the nickname New Vietnam.
Oh!
For a second there, things were looking up, but, you know.
Yeah, you don't want New Vietnam. I don't want old Vietnam. I just...
You don't want the Second Central American War. We've established that it was an absolute clusterfuck.
Yeah.
That quite literally led to the downfall of the United States as a country. Why are you doing it again? Yeah. What are you doing? Stop.
Yep. Yeah, when you're like, golly, I wish we had another Vietnam. It's like, oh, whoo, boy, let's not do a reunion tour on this one, huh?
Oh God. The US would attempt to invade Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and Venezuela, because why not? And it was almost an immediate disaster. So much so that a counter coup formed within the Gang of Four, allowing for the army to get a foothold, claimed DC. Unfortunately, despite the immediate blowback, US forces would remain in this conflict for another 7 years, while things at home got progressively worse.
Oh, but the Vietnam War gave us so many wonderful movies. Come on. Oh, Shy. Listen, I read it, all right, Shy? I read one of your comments, all right? I gave you one.
I've been too traumatized by links to news articles to pay as much attention to the chat as I should. I'm sorry, Shy. I'm just there's a risk of seeing something that's going to like in a very real way upset me if I look across too often. And every time I see one, I get distracted from what I'm supposed to be reading. And instead, have existential dread. So
I'm not reading that one though, Shy. You can put that up on the screen if you want, but no,
you know what? I'll read that one. It's
okay, yeah.
Shy says, "Thank you for reading my Vietnam War apologism."
Oh boy, that's crazy.
Well, the investigation into the Gang of Four would conclude, and the information on just how deep the corruption went would further inflame tensions, figuratively and literally. Transcripts from the First Central American War would be exposed that revealed secret underhand deals and statements courtesy of acting President Triple H, and he would flee as mercenaries attempted to storm the capital. Possum didn't write Triple H. I'm struggling to read his name because there's just too much going on.
Hell yeah, brother.
Harold Harrison Hunt.
The king of kings.
Hunt would be tracked down eventually in Florida, where he would be captured and immolated by mercenaries.
Oh man, I wasn't expecting immolated. I was definitely expecting him to suffer and be unalived. I was not expecting immolated by mercenaries.
It's so specific in such a horrible way.
Oh man. Well, you know, so again, sometimes you get what you fucking deserve, Murray. So, you know.
If only he'd been carrying a bottle of water to spit into the air, he might have got the flames out.
Totally, that would have cured everything. It's a light misting from a bottle of Evian.
We had to get one more reference in. He's just been set fire. He's not coming back. So an attempt would be made to restore some sense of democratic rule in the country thanks to the ousting of the gang, but presidential appointee Henry Jacoby would be assassinated on November 5th of 2005. An investigation would be launched into who ordered the assassination, and a company known as Mantoga Incorporated would be the culprit. The US military would issue an ultimatum to the company on November 17th. Remove yourselves from the country as a whole in 4 hours or face the consequences.
4 hours to move a whole company out of a country? Yeah,
you got 4 hours. You best get moving. Thinking that the military was blowing smoke, Mantoga Incorporated would ignore them. Once the 4-hour mark was hit, Operation Big Stick would take place.
Oh. And then what happened, Kirioth?
Oh, it's really not funny, but it is quite funny.
Holy
In a few short hours, the army would eradicate every single Mantoga office with point accurate airstrikes, while ground forces would overrun storage facilities. Assassins would take out employees left and right, and even if they fled the country, they would be hunted down.
What the fuck? Jesus. So there were probably some employees that were like, no, I'm taking this seriously. I'm the fuck out of here. And probably fled in 4 hours. But the U.S. is like, nah, sorry. The whole company didn't. You're fucked. Like, god damn. That's crazy.
Operation Big Stick would end on April 3rd of 2006 after the final living administrator from Mantoga Inc. was killed in Germany.
Jesus!
That is absolutely batshit insane.
Oh my god!
Like, do you see what I mean? How it's not that many people being just taken out by the government isn't funny. But the idea of you've got 4 hours to get out,
and to get your company out,
and because they were like, I don't think they're going to do anything like horrific in 4 hours, only for them to go, every employee must die, is insane. It's absolutely insane behavior.
Gosh, that's wild. So I mean, I guess they probably got, you know, they're the guy that assassinated. I guess they probably got their man. Maybe.
I mean, there's no one left, so I'm assuming.
It'd be so funny if they were like, yeah, but we outsourced the assassin. They were never part of our company. Yeah, the assassin was part of Arasaka, dude. Like, what? Sorry. You just killed the corporation for nothing.
Turns out I read the memo wrong. Just let's not mention it. Let's not mention it. Yes, that's pretty much exactly what Possum has put in the script. So Shai says, I like the summary of it in the source book. This genocidal military action has remained as an example to all corporations on American soil of what happens when the US government is pushed too far.
like people in the US needed more examples of this.
I was going to say that
we need a firmer
down in the streets for being out too late. Yeah. I think we know.
Millions dead from curfew. We need to set a stronger example, though. Holy shit!
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Oh, I've got another quote for you. This one, I will say, I'm not even going to apologize for.
All right.
This one is actually, I think, one of the first just flat out positive things we've had in like 13 pages of script.
Wow, we have positive things? Crazy.
We do have, well, a positive thing.
I remember Election Day in 2008. I was only 12. None of the kids could figure out what the commotion was about. All the adults were real happy, though. A street punk named Christmas.
Sounds like such a bad play or musical, but we'll take it.
Yeah. Streetcar named Desire, street punk named Christmas. Yeah, sure, why not? Also, being that happy that there's finally an election is like, oh boy.
In 2008, free elections would occur for the first time in years, which is great stuff, right? It would be a time to rebuild, except for the band Samurai, which would break up this year.
Ugh! We know what Johnny got up to after Samurai broke up, though, so, you know.
2008 would not be without conflict, though. Most of these conflicts would be of the corporate nature, as a number of corporate wars would begin to take place during this time. Ambition for many would turn to the stars, but with ambition would come conflict. The first orbital war would be fought in space between the United States and the Soviets, of course, and would end catastrophically as Tycho would launch rocks at Colorado Springs.
Oof.
So, I mean, I guess fuck Colorado Springs in particular.
Yeah, I guess, you know. All right.
The rest of the world would go through sporadic periods of martial law and civil unrest, while corporations would begin to sink their teeth in deeper. The number of free states will get into the double digits, but some would call crawling back to America's corpse at some point. This would also be the time where the arms race for literal arms would take off substantially at the behest of corporations. The industrial cyberware revolution would occur and result in the dramatic increase in the utility that various cyber augments provided. Some would be necessary for basic job functions, while others were a bit more ridiculous and unnecessary. To many, cybernetics became a status symbol, while to others it meant survival. Some would become deeply invested in the idea of replacing oneself piece by piece, while others would fear it entirely. Boss baby moment of silence for the boss baby there.
Yeah, definitely a moment of silence. Yep.
But, like many other things, the primary reason for this cyberware revolution was for combat. The stronger and more violent you were in a war zone, the more likely you could win for a nation or the highest paying executive. There are many more conflicts for the next 12 years leading into 2020, but many of them can only be truly discussed after we learn about the single most important place in the world of cyberpunk. So, I have another quote for you here. And
all right. And it's, okay. I thought you were saying it's back to normal. We're going to be depressed again. An exciting and vibrant place to live. Night City is even more fun to visit. World famous for its slogan, "The City on the Edge of Tomorrow." The area hosts almost 9 million tourists, conventioners, and corporate travelers every year. A planned community with an advanced rapid transit system, its own net LDL, and a corporate center boasting representatives from over a dozen of the world's most powerful megacorps. Night City is a shining example of technology triumphant over the troubles of the past. Right here in Night City.
Sounds good to me. Sounds almost too good to be true. I wonder
No.
why.
No, this is a tech paradise where nothing bad can happen.
In 1954, a man by the name of Richard Knight would be born into a family of Caltech researchers. He would initially follow in the steps of his parents, but be burnt financially by a roommate of his in college by the name of Romney Zakarian. That is a tricky name. His focus from then on would shift from science to business investment. He would make some new friends and would eventually form a company by the name of Halsey, Ferris and Knight. The company's focus was on the building of megastructures, such as huge office complexes, airports, and cities. HFN would become exceptionally successful, and Knight would reap these benefits greatly. He would become a very wealthy man, both financially and interpersonally, as he would become married to a woman named Miriam. However, by the time 1990 rolled around, Knight became concerned about the state of the country. I mean, for good reason, to be fair.
Everyone ever in that setting. I'm becoming concerned about the state of the world.
Something doesn't feel quite right here. He would see extreme violence in the streets and would fear that something terrible was imminent. His work was also becoming boring, as it was mostly building large accommodations for corporations that were mostly cookie-cutter. He felt that he was squandering his talents, and he wanted to do what he could to help the people of the US as best as possible. He would form Knight International and would start the groundwork for something massive, a city. But not just any city, a city that was maintained and controlled by corporations, a place that would be safe from the social and economic disasters tearing the country to shreds. He wanted this city to be self-sufficient and strong enough to hold off intruders and potential military forces that would attempt to seize it. Though extremely corporate-focused, he wanted it to feel like a combination of all sorts of cultures and ideologies, and he wanted to preserve as much natural feel as possible while also being a super-modern shrine for enlightened capitalism. A city like none other.
Hooray, enlightened capitalism. You love to see it. Yay.
It's my favourite kind. Fortunately for him, the collapse resulted in many corporations looking to establish a foothold while also not having to fret about the violence in the streets. The tailor-made ideas that Knight had were perfect, and they would freely hand him as much money as he needed to make it a possibility. Knight required quite a bit of land to get this project off the ground, something that had ocean ports as well as highways, and something far enough out of the way where they didn't really have to spend too much. He would send survey teams across the coast of the now ruined United States, but an article in the San Francisco Chronicle would catch his eye. A town called Morro Bay in central California had recently suffered an extremely violent turf war courtesy of the Hells Angels that resulted in over 10,000 people being killed.
Jesus! How is anyone left in the US at this point? Like, there's just swaths of, like, tens of thousands of people dying randomly, like, every turn. It's crazy.
10,000, fewer people have died in global conflicts than in that turf war.
That's crazy. Jesus.
After the gangsters were cleared out by the military, the town of Morro Bay was a ghost town. No shit.
Because everybody's dead. Literal ghost town.
And pretty much any survivor refused to come back. Again, I'm not
surprising.
My house was in Morro Bay. What house? I don't remember living there. Nothing could make me go back to that house after that.
I mean, at this point, Morro Bay is probably a steaming crater anyway, so fucking who cares?
A steaming crater full of blood.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And the bodies of tens of thousands of people. God.
Yeah. For literal pennies on the dollar, Richard Knight was able to purchase the entirety of Morro Bay and would begin the cleaning and building process. In order to avoid potential scrutiny, Knight was able to pay for the bay to be renamed to the Del Coronado Bay, and the new city being built here would be known as Coronado City, though the residents and corporations that would call it Knight City due to the ambition of its founder. His ambition was, to put it mildly, eccentric. Each portion of Coronado City was to reflect the architecture from various other North American cities from coast to coast. Some neighborhoods had the coastal flair of Seattle, while others had the brownstone buildings of Boston. Some homes would look like they were out of a Victorian storybook, while others looked like they were from a samurai film. The shops and restaurants in these neighborhoods would reflect their individual inspirations, and giant stadiums would allow for entertainment in sports form as well as shopping. The most visible buildings in the city were the skyscrapers, and they would be his personal pet projects. Of all the buildings in the city, these skyscrapers would not only symbolize the affluence of its potential leaders reaching to the sky, but also the almost astronomical ambition of Richard Knight himself. Construction would begin in 1994 and would continue until 2077, as the project, much like its creator, is boundless.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's one of those things that sounds great on paper.
Yeah. And then once it gets translated into action, it's like, oh no.
Oh yes, people were involved in this. And
yeah,
as we've learned from the previous however many years, people, not great, some of them, turns out. The biggest issue with the development and future of Coronado City was in its past. Though they'd done a good job clearing out the remnants of the Hells Angels and other gangs from the area, they were still encroaching on the territory of much bigger operations. The Mafia and the Yakuza didn't much care for what Knight was doing, but they were hoping they could at least score a buck or two from him. The unions of construction workers and transport personnel were bankrolled by these organizations, and they figured they could exploit the finances of Richard by setting up shell corporations that would pass the buck on to them. Unfortunately, due to Knight's ambition, the extremely intricate and specific nature of the construction would require him to seek out hyper-specific unions and firms that were more in line with past projects, causing the old established crime organizations to reel. He really was working on a crime-free metropolis, and as such, they would try to make his life hell. Now, Knight had quite a bit of luck when it came to the constant threats he received during the project, courtesy of corporations eager to accept a contract or two from him, but his luck would run out eventually. On the night of September 20th, 1998, Knight would be in his penthouse suite in the newly completed Parkview Tower, where a hitman would kill him. The culprit was never captured, and though the killer successfully took Knight's life, it only cemented his legacy. The City Council of Coronado City would rename the city to Knight City in his memory. In the wake of his death, his wife Miriam would found Knight's Foundation, which would eventually become Knight Corporation, because of course, which would promote the preservation of Richard Knight's ideology when it came to the city. However, the death of Richard would have a long-lasting impact on the city and on its continued construction. Getting offed by a hitman because you were trying to build a crime-free city.
Yeah,
it's the perfect kind of tragic, isn't it?
Yeah, that definitely sounds like a tragedy that would indeed happen. That is, yeah. How dare you, Mr. Knight? How dare you? Crime free.
We're trying to work here. And when we say work, we mean not work. We're talking pure crime, and you are messing it up. I've got another quote for you.
All right. When visiting Night City, you should wear light to medium weight clothing with a light armor jacket or ballistic cloth overcoat optional. A filter mask and supplemental oxygen are highly recommended as a hedge against inversion smogs and acid rain fog. However, acid-proof slickers, umbrellas, and air masks are all readily available from sidewalk vendors during smog warning periods at moderate costs. Oh...
Great place for a holiday.
Sounds
lovely.
Yeah. That sounds like the Night City we all know and love.
Have you got your acid-proof overcoat and bulletproof vest? Yes. Excellent. Let's go to dinner. What?
Yeah.
Terrible.
Wouldn't want the inversion smogs and acid rain fog to get us after all when we go on our daily jog.
What is inversion smog? Because when I read it the first time, I was like, it just sounds like fog that turns you inside out. But
that might be what it is, dude. That might be. There's the what isn't it like the withering plague? That's like, oh yeah, you can eat, but you'll starve. I mean, I could see an
yeah.
inversion fog that literally just inverts your insides to your outsides.
Oh, it's so much more boring than that. That's a real shame. That's a real shame. It's just okay. It's so much less fun. It's just severe air pollution caused by temperature inversion, where a warm air layer traps cool, polluted air near the ground, preventing it from rising and dispersing.
Boo! We want the fog that makes your insides become your outsides. Boo!
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 Promise acid rain, and then it just be like normal smog, but
yeah, fuck that.
Boring
Come
as
on.
hell.
Mods invert their smog.
Kirioth is like, wow, imagine living in a place where you die if you go outside. Oh, so it's 40 degrees C, baby. Okay.
How hot is it in your office, Kirioth?
Right now, the gauge on the wall says it's 35 degrees C.
Oh, yuck.
If I've stumbled at all today, that's pretty much why. I'm warm. I am unpleasantly warm.
Oh, don't worry.
Yes,
on my
air conditioning, I know.
on my computer in the bottom left-hand corner, it is a it in red letters it just says heat warning just issued, and there is a red triangle with a thermometer inside of it. So
oh, lovely.
Thank
Great.
God for AC.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. I will get a split unit in here. I will. It's just not right now.
Yeah, think of the bear cock no minis that are melting in your office. Please, Kirioth. Think of the no minis, giant
I
meat
glanced
wads.
over. I was going to say they're hanging in there, but that's not. It wasn't an intentional one. It was just.
That's a ballsy pun, sir.
Oh, lovely stuff.
The ball's in your court, Kirioth.
we've got to move on. We've got it. Mob bosses would begin to step in and attempt to carve the city up, and the volume of gangs would cause Night City's police department to be spread thin. In order to protect themselves, many gangs would be bankrolled by corporations, forcing some of the mobsters to move into the more suburban parts of the city. The presence of the gangs over the next 7 years became such a problem that the only way they could truly remove them was to either demolish the city and try again, or completely wall it off. However, both of these plans were impossible due to how much of a financial undertaking it would be. Corporations would have no real interest in attempting to run Night City, nor would they have interest in stopping the mobsters. Between 2005 and 2009, much of the remnants of Night City's government were replaced with mob-backed politicians in order to cement a piece of land to call their own in the city itself. Eventually, once the ambitious project of Richard Knight would turn into an active war zone filled to the brim with horrors, resulting in the name Night City taking on the meaning of something truly unfortunate and grim. There were more murders in this 4-year period than most cities would have in a 10-year period. And gang activity was so extreme that you were just as likely to die in a bombing as you were to have your wallet stolen.
Yeesh. And this is a city that was initially meant to be a crime-free haven and bastion of hope. And this is sort of what it's devolved to.
Yep.
Again, this is the Night City that we all sort of know and love. This is yeah.
Now, the unsolved murders at this point and crimes in general would number in the thousands, and eventually, by the end of 2009, the corporations would attempt to re-seize control. And for the next 2 years, Night City would be home to an event known as the Mob War.
Ah.
God damn. Corporations would go to war with the mobsters and the gangsters, but not for the benefit of the common man. Obviously, the mobsters were essentially you're surprised, a business at this point, and the corporate powers that wished to contest them They wanted to do it on a business-to-business level. If they wanted to play the corporate game, they also had to play the corporate war games. So, as you can imagine, most of the mobsters were dramatically underprepared when they were met with assassinations, assault vehicles, aerial attacks courtesy of AVs, and exceptionally well-armed mercenaries.
Yeah,
I like the idea of
yeah.
a mob boss just being like, this is not fair.
Yeah.
This is not.
This is some bullshit. This is like government-funded military stuff, man. Pretty
Within a
one-sided
matter of
fight.
just, you've got a guy with the mod, like some sort of equivalent of a ye olde Tommy gun because it looks cool, and he's like on the street, and then just a mercenary, a fully bulletproof mercenary, walks up and just absolutely blasts him with some sort of high-tech weapon, but from around a corner or something.
Yeah.
Just like, come on.
It's not even he walks out, he's like, oh yeah, say hello to my little friend. And then a tank rolls up on him and he's like, come on. I just wanted to be cool like in the movies. And then he just becomes tank tread mist.
Becomes part of the inversion mob.
Yeah, he does.
Within a matter of just a couple of years, the corporations would wipe out the mobsters from Night City. The corporations would place in a mayor that would serve as their puppet, while they would work to clean the city up. The newly reformed city council would quickly deputize the security forces of the corporations to give them full authority without question, and wouldn't you know it, it worked. Night City became super clean again. As long as you had money. Affordable housing units were used to house corporate troopers, resulting in a chronic homelessness problem that had no true solution. In 2012, oh no, I looked this up earlier and I've forgotten. Bol Ebonique would become the mayor of Night City, and this was just the guy that the corporations wanted. California as a whole became a free state in 2002, but there would be increasing friction between the two halves of the state. This would result in a separation war in 2011. Every time I'm like, is this the end of the end of the constant infighting and horrible wars? And every time it's like, no, there's still another one. Don't worry.
It's another civil war. Yay! How many tens of thousands died this time? Yeah, another one. Another one.
And the separation war would end in 2012 with the signing of the Northern Separation Treaty. This would establish clear-cut borders between the Free State of Northern California, Sacramento as its capital, and the Free State of Allied Southern California with San Diego as its capital. Due to the split, Night City would become a part of NorCal, but access to travelers from SoCal was guaranteed. The Night City Police Department and Night City Fire Department would be re-established in 2013, and the worst of the cleanup would be considered completed by the corporations. The police department being re-established in 2013 is crazy.
Yeah.
There's literally no law. It's just corporation troopers just doing whatever the hell they liked the whole time. All mobsters murking people. What the hell?
That's Night City for you. That's just how it goes, I guess.
Oh, God. To say the corporate overlords were draconian and oppressive is a bit of an understatement, but to many, this was acceptable.
Sure. Bit of an understatement, I'm sure.
Oh, possum. It's better to be under the heel of a corporation than potentially getting shot on the way to a grocery store. Some didn't care for this much, including a relatively famous rocker boy by the name of Johnny Silverhand. On April 13th of 2013, Johnny would hold a concert/riot outside of Arasaka Tower. This was meant to serve as a distraction so he could rescue his girlfriend, Alt Cunningham, who was held captive inside. The resulting riot would result in the death of many employees and rioters, and the CEO of Arasaka's American branch would be murdered. For the next few years, Johnny would serve as a thorn in the side of Night City's police forces as well as the corporations. There would be the homelessness riots in 2014, and Johnny Silverhand would pay a benefit concert to bring attention to the ruthless methods of the NCPD's action during this time. Now, due to an influx in random crimes, mercenaries would become common in the city, and the megacorps would begin to hire them quite frequently, to the point where, realistically, it became dedicated work.
Yeah.
These edge runners would benefit greatly from their corporate sponsors, as they would say that their actions were for the good of Night City, when in actuality it was an underhanded way to claw higher to the top of the corporate ladder. Money for municipal projects would somehow find their way into the neighbourhoods already bloated with corporate excess, while the borders of the combat zone would increase in size. Night City was, for those rich enough, pretty damn safe, all things considered. So gang violence was so far off their radar that it ultimately did not impact them unless their bottom line was hurt. To them, Richard Knight's vision was realised, and it was a safe metropolis.
Don't like that. Just be
Yeah,
wealthy, idiot.
Yeah, it's just have money. I don't understand what the problem is.
Oh, man.
Just stop being poor. It's so easy.
It's not so bad. Nothing bad has ever happened to me. Like, well, don't you live in, like, billion-dollar sanctuary, essentially? Yeah, but what's going on outside your walls? Who cares?
Well, outside of their walls, to the average person, leaving the house on a daily basis was a casting of the dice. Still, the city had many benefits to them, especially compared to the horrors of the rest of the United States. But those horrors don't truly matter when you think about it. The creation of Night City was directly tied to the isolationist nature of the US as a whole. Doesn't it make sense to put on your own blinders when you're stuck in the confines of Night City? Beyond your mirror shades, the rest of the world doesn't matter. The ruling class of the US doesn't matter when the board of directors of some megacorp can dictate whether you live or not.
I mean, I guess that's true. That I guess that's fair. Like, you got bigger fish to fry than what's going on outside in the rest of the world when, Megacorp could very easily, or just random gang mob violence could end your day like that, and it's very likely. So yeah, I imagine you would have some blinders on. Yeah.
What is it? He's out of line, but he's right.
Yeah.
By 2020, there's a few things you would likely know about the remnants of the United States. You'd know that it would have the largest income gap in the world, and it wasn't even close. You'd know that about a dozen or so states had broken their ties with the former nation. The years where martial law was handled with the mindset of shooting without asking questions was complemented with years of the worst plague the nation had ever seen. All this... You've got to brace yourself for this. There's no way of me saying this without it absolutely blowing your mind.
Okay.
All this combined with gang violence resulted in the death of over 100 million Americans in just shy of 15 years.
What? 15 years and 100 million? Over 100 million people died? Holy
yes.
shit. Yes. Oh god, that is an incomprehensible amount of death.
That if we're looking at like the current population, that is essentially a third of the US dead.
In 15 years.
In 15 years.
Oh my god. That's crazy, dude. Holy. All right, cool. So no one's left in Night City. Good to know. They're all dead.
Insanity. Oh no, Night City's fine. It's the rest of it.
Although Shy has a little quote from Mike Ponce: "Cyberpunk was a warning, not an aspiration." Well, I have some bad news. Well, good and bad news. There are some parallels, but hopefully we don't continue paralleling.
Yeah, that'd be nice. The really damning thing is that all of that could have been avoided.
Yeah.
I mean, admittedly, in Night City, you don't know that there was once an American dream because all you see is a nightmare. So yeah, there is life and history outside of Night City, sure, but that doesn't impact your day-to-day. You're not even guaranteed to survive a day in Night City, let alone live long enough to see the world. Night City, to many, is their world. Their life is tied to it without much question, and the only thing more dangerous than going outside your door is leaving the city. but you can't leave the city. Leaving Night City is about as realistic as taking a trip to Mars, and many in the streets would much prefer to dream since their wage slavery prevents them from anything actually real. There is no escape, only escapism. Some look to the gangs and think of it as a way to accomplish something where they actually have an impact, while others turn to the ever-advancing technology and find solace in removing themselves from this mortal coil piece by piece. Night City, to many, in the end, is the safest place you can live in, but this is strictly because it's the only place you can live in. And
Oof.
to round that out, we have a lovely final quote to round out the episode.
Oh, I'm sure this will be great. Unlike the more obvious walled zones of Detroit and Chicago, these controlled zones are kept relatively crime-free through electronic security, aerial patrols with AV and aero-gyro vehicles, and close contact with deputized security forces in the corporate zone. Unlike many other urban areas throughout the U.S., you may actually find any personal protection beyond a light caliber handgun unnecessary. Night City is safe.
See, it's fine. It's fine. Just don't think about it, or learn about it, or want to go anywhere else, because you can't.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Safe as it can be.
Yeah, the 100 million that have died there would beg to differ.
That is such a... I can't get over that number. 100 million Americans dead in 15 years. Like the US, we've been going through this. We know the US went through an absolutely terrible time, and arguably still is. It really hammers that home.
Yeah.
Really hammers that home. America not having a good time overall.
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there you go. That is the sort of the backdrop, the build up to the construction and formation of Night City, and all of the awful, horrible, horrific things that happened to the United States in the process, whether directly or indirectly related. I mean, I suppose it is all directly related in that a lot of it is what made Richard Knight want to build the city in the first place. But yeah, wow. It's so much...
Yeah,
I don't know about you, so much worse than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it just sucks. It just sucks. There's not a lot of hope unless you're the upper 1%. Then hey, it's gravy. Oh, this is lovely. I'm safe. I'm protected. Oh, Night City is phenomenal. You know, if you're the top 1%. Yeah, that sucks. It just sucks. Boy, it sucks. Like, having played the games and the anime, and it's like, oh yeah, I knew Night City was bad, but it's like, boy, it is really, really fucked.
It really is.
Oof. Oof. Night City somehow is way worse when you have like all the context too, and all like the history, and it's like, oh yeah, oh great, damn you, Triple H.
There really is no escape from the awful. It's just different flavors of awful depending on where you are unfortunate enough to live, or, try to live.
But you know where a fortunate place would be to go? Orchid8.com for some sick acceptable losses merch. You can be a weave for Lincoln. We almost got through that transition, too. We almost...
That was an elite segue. Oh, my God.
Man, I almost made it, Kirioth. God damn it. But you should head over to Orchid8.com. Link in the description, link on the screen. Get an amazing shirt. Weave for Lincoln. You like sci-fi. You like history. I think there's still some coins and wall scrolls. Go check it out. Great merch. Link on the screen and in the description. Kirioth, tell them about the Patreon.
I got nothing clever for this. If you want access to episodes early, you should head over to patreon.com/acceptablelosses. You will also find over there, if you choose to support us monetarily, you only you don't just get, oh my God, I'm totally thrown. That gave me psychic damage. You don't just get the episodes early. You also get exclusive episodes on Patreon. Shorter episodes for the most part. There's a couple of exceptions to that because I got carried away writing the scripts. But we upload usually 3 of those a month, as well as the ones that you'll find here. And this is the most important thing that I should have put at the start. Maybe Shai can butcher this into the right order. We also have a digital poster on Patreon as well.
We sure
it's
do.
A new thing. We haven't done one before. This is the first one, and it's an absolutely legendary poster. We are still searching for the intercontinental ballistic missile. We're looking for it. And if you want to help us look for it, then support us on Patreon to get the high-res, non-watermarked version of that poster. It's absolutely fantastic, and we love it.
Oh yeah, it's phenomenal. Love it. I'm glad we could finally get the word out about this missing intercontinental ballistic missile.
The people got to know.
Surely someone has seen this thing. Come on.
Yeah. It's been missing for ages. Someone's got to have an idea.
Yeah. Come on. Anyway. Kirioth, do the outro, buddy.
This is going to be a rough one. We're just going to go clean and simple so that I can get out of this room. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching, depending on which you did. And we will see you for the next one. Help.